Koh-i-Noor was first mined from South India, and it was part of a Hindu deity. It was an eye of a deity. Of course, this is all conjecture because historically there aren't enough factual evidences to back that. So the first authentic evidence of Koh-i-Noor comes from the Mughal Empire, Shah Jahan's time. And so Koh-i-Noor was part of the Mughal Empire, his peacock throne. And you have to remember that the Mughal Empire at the time of Shah Jahan was probably at its zenith. It was at the peak of its power, its prestige. It had a lot of money, so Shah Jahan kind of could do things like this, such as have a peacock throne with, of course, the biggest diamond, uncut diamond in it. So Koh-i-Noor was part of his peacock throne, and of course, when the Mughal Empire falls, it goes to Nadir Shah. Nadir Shah invaded Delhi, and from there he took the peacock throne back. So that is also pretty much factual. There's enough historical evidence to suggest that happened. When Nadir Shah's empire fell, eventually Koh-i-Noor found his way to Ahmad Shah Abdali and his Afghan empire. And when that empire slowly sort of disintegrated, it came to his grandson Shah Shuja, who had to find refuge with Maharaja Ranjit Singh for a little while. And for his refuge, he had to sort of give up Koh-i-Noor for that. And that's how Koh-i-Noor ended up with Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Eventually, when the Sikh empire disintegrated, when it lost the Second Anglo-Sikh War, the British kind of forced young Maharaja Dalip Singh to hand over Koh-i-Noor to the British. And then, of course, it was gifted to the Queen. And that's how it became part of the British crown jewelry. As far as the repatriation of Koh-i-Noor is concerned, that is slightly a complicated process. I feel like in the recent years, what has happened is that Koh-i-Noor has become symbolic of so much more. So Koh-i-Noor has become a symbol of essentially all the loot that went to Britain, and not just from South Asia, not just from India or Pakistan, but also from other parts of the world. And all that loot that is now part of the British museums, that is part of several homes across the UK. And Koh-i-Noor sort of symbolizes that. It symbolizes its demand, which is actually comparatively an older demand, but has resurfaced recently. It's become a demand for the British state to recognize the violence that it committed in through colonialism, and the sort of economic pilfering that it sort of engaged in through colonialism. And of course now UK's richness is based on that pilferage, and so now the demand of many post-colonial decolonized states is to sort of UK to sort of pay a reparation for all that sort of economic violence. So that's the sort of context of the recent demand, where it's Koh-i-Noor has become a symbol because it is a Jew. It has so many myths associated with it.
The Golconda mine was the first to produce Type 2A diamonds, which make up 1 to 2% of all natural diamonds, 1.8% of gem quality diamonds. These diamonds are almost or entirely devoid of impurities and consequently are usually colorless and have the highest thermal conductivity. The story or legend of the Koh-i-Noor diamond is one of a bloody past, hence the claim from so many countries for it to be returned. Prince Albert took the diamond out of India, and it was finally cut into its current existing form, called the Prince Albert cut, in 1852, and then in 1937 was set in the crown for Queen Elizabeth, along with 2,800 diamonds. The reason for the cut and recutting was to enhance the clarity, the brightness, the life, luster, scintillation of the diamond. An almost perfect specimen of a diamond in terms of color and clarity. To put a price on this is next to impossible. One can speculate and appraise. However, the term prices gets thrown around for a specific reason. It is next to impossible unless it comes into market and we can deem what someone is willing to pay for a piece before applying a price to it. So I will leave the term being priceless out there. One can speculate as much as they like, but something that has such historical and cultural and physical value, again, priceless.
Now, this demand can get very tricky because there's multiple states that are involved in this demand. So India, of course, claims that Kohinoor belongs to them. Pakistan claims that Kohinoor belongs to them. Afghanistan has a similar claim, and so does Iran. And the question then is that who does Kohinoor actually belong to? One can make an argument that because the Sikh Empire's capital was Lahore, and that was the last place of Kohinoor before it was taken to the British Empire, so maybe that's where Kohinoor should come to. But then a counter question would be that is the Pakistani state a descendant, a successor of the Sikh Empire? And you would argue no, it's actually a modern state. But then, of course, India itself is a modern state, and should India be seen as a successor of the Sikh state? The Afghan state will make a claim that because it was part of Emir Shah Abdali, that's why it should come back to Afghanistan, and Iran will make a claim that actually it belonged to Nadir Shah after the Mughal Empire, so it should come to Iran. And Nadir Shah's empire was sort of across Iran and Afghanistan. So really, who really does have that claim? And I feel like that is what the British state moving forward, if, let's say, in an ideal world, if they ever agree to repatriate Koh-i-Noor, to send Koh-i-Noor back, this would be an excuse that they would use to not send it back, because there are so many contested claims to Koh-i-Noor. And I feel like all the nations have a right claim, but also not a fully right claim. It's impossible now to make an argument that which nation has the right to claim, because in many ways, all these nations are modern nations and are not successors of the Mughal state or the Sikh Empire.